Hi, so today I'll be taking you through my CPSC 310 project, which I created with my partner, Nicole. Um, Essentially, the CPSC 310 project is a quite complex project. It performs various different kinds of queries. However, for the purposes of this specific demo, we'll only be showing you two different options. One is finding course average by professor, and the second is finding highest section average by course title. Now, let me walk you through how it works. So the first one is returning the correct average by the professor name. So we assume that there's a given that the student has loaded the data set and is on the query page. So using Postman, we've already pushed in the sections data set. And when the user is on the screen, that's a given. Once that's done, we the user is expected to press reset button to make sure that no other queries are loaded. And once that's done, the student clicks on the button course average by professor and enters the name of the professor and presses the enter key on the keyboard. Now, given that the professor name can be in various formats and there's a chance of making an error. So we wanted to reconfirm that the professor name entered is correct. So the user will be prompted to press enter again to make sure that the professor name that he or she entered was correct. Once they press enter again, then the results would be displayed on the screen. Now, let me walk you through how it works. So this is the main page. Now we've assumed that the data set has already been loaded. We click on reset just to make sure that no other queries are loaded. And then we click on course average by professor. Now this is where we can enter the name of our professor. So I'm going to enter a valid professor name, Cox Daniel. And once that's done, you would get the option press enter again to confirm the professor name. So I'm going to press enter again. So now, as you can see, there was an API fetch call made. Let me just quickly, API fetch call made, which essentially a fetch post API call made for Cox Daniel to get the query results. I can quickly also show you another valid one. So again, press reset again, click on course average by professor, enter the name of the professor, and then again, press enter to reconfirm that this is the correct name. And once that's done, so Cole Kenneth is again a valid name. Now, in the case when the user does not enter a valid name, so I'm just going to enter something random. And actually, let's press reset again, because that's part of the user story. You click on this, and then you enter a random name. And then once that's done, you're going to press enter. And then again, you're being prompted to press enter again to confirm that you've entered the correct professor name, because again, you can make mistakes. And once that's done, and you press enter, now this is an invalid name. So it says invalid value entered, please enter again. Now, in this case, the user can also enter a valid query again and get it to execute, but that's not part of a user story, but it's something that's possible and quite doable. And just to show you, we also have a lot of API calls being made at the same point. That was an important part of a user story. And yeah, let me show you about highest section average. So now coming to our user story 2, we want to return the max section average, which we want to search by course title. Now there can be various different course titles, but we want it by so that the user can pick the best course, best section based on that year for that specific course title. The user story goes like this. Again, we assume that the data set has already been loaded, and the user would go in and click on the button highest section average. Then they'll be prompted to enter the section title. So I'm not going to give it a valid section title. So I have something called career planning. Let me enter it up. Career planning. Now, again, it's quite easy to make a mistake in entering the specific keyword. So you'll be again prompted to reconfirm that you have entered the correct thing. Now this is a valid section title. Once you've done that, then you're going to press enter again. Once that's done, it's going to give you results for that specific section course title. So it's going to be career planning. And then it'll give you the max average for that specific year. And yeah, that's that. Now I can give you another example of a valid one. So let's press reset again because it's part of our user story. And then we click on highest section average. And again, prompted to reconfirm again. We press enter again. And then you have the same thing. So in 2015, this was the max section average. Now we can again, it also has the option if you were to not press reset and just go pressing enter, it will still update. However, that's another feature, but as it's not part of our user story. Now, coming back to an invalid query. So let's suppose he or she enters an invalid highest section average. What would happen? So they would go in and click on highest section average button, and then they would enter an invalid section title. So I'm going to enter an invalid section title. This is an invalid section title. Again, they will be prompted to confirm that this is the correct course title. If yes, then it was an invalid one. So say invalid value entered, please enter again. Now, as you can see, all the fetch calls that were made based on our input. And yeah, that's about it. I can also show you how the query actually looks. It's quite complex compared to our user interface. And yeah, that's about it. Take care. Thank you.